Welcome back to Coaches on the Beach. And today we got a little Austin Peay, Coastal Carolina, the connecting piece between Colin and I guess. Has a little bit of both worlds now. Sarah Riedell, my assistant here at the P, old player for Coach Colin Wilson over in wherever you. No, I'm just kidding. Over in Coastal Carolina. Sarah, it's good to have you on. Long time no see.
Yes, thank you. Great to be on. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Right now, let's jump straight into it. Who is the best coach you've ever known?
Whoa!
It's okay. We all know the easy answer is Steve Loswick.
Yeah.
That's a totally fair point. But why
Yeah.
don't you tell us a little bit about you? Where are you from? How did you get into volleyball?
Yes, so I am from Greensboro, North Carolina, right kind of in between Raleigh and Charlotte. I started playing indoor volleyball in seventh grade because I wanted to try out for the middle school team. I wanted to really solidify in a sport. And my brothers were playing lacrosse at a facility that it had indoor courts and it was like an indoor turf field. And I really wanted to actually do lacrosse originally. And then I signed up for a lacrosse camp. And then the lacrosse camp ended up not happening. So they told me, there's a volleyball camp, you should just try that. And I was like, okay, volleyball looks cool. I'll just try that. So then it stuck. And then I wanted to play in middle school, and then I wanted to play in high school, and then I wanted to play in college. And so, yeah, that's how I got into it.
Okay. You got into it that way, but then what made you decide to, okay, I'm actually going to do this thing for real. I'm going to start training. I'm going to play. I'm going to take it seriously.
Hmm. I think I've always kind of been in a competitive, serious environment, with my brothers and my dad. We're all very sports driven family. So it was more of just, I think it was just in my blood, in my nature that whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna jump into it and get all into it. And I got just naturally hooked into it just from playing it, and it was addicting and so fun. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it to the competitive beast in me is I need to just do this thing full swing. So that's how I kind of stuck with indoor for a couple years. And then I started to kind of make the switch when I was playing, I think it was right going into my freshman year of high school. I kind of just wanted to play every position. I never really wanted to be subjected to just being a setter, or I always wanted to play in the front row, whether it was outside or right side. So I was a little small. I'm only 5'7". And I got slapped in the face with reality really quick, and they were like, for you to be really successful, we just don't see this position really working out for you long term. So I was like, okay, well, I'll try something different. Beach looks fun, and there's a really great club in my area. So I was like, I'll just try it out for the summer. And then it took off.
Took off. And so that club was Beach South, uh,
Yes.
your home club, and you played with some pretty cool people. How did you were part of the June 15th rule, right? Or were you part of the days when you could call everybody?
Oh my gosh. So it's actually crazy now. I'm on the other side of it, seeing that part of the recruiting. But when I was going through it, it was everyone was committing when they were freshmen and sophomores. And just getting into beach as a freshman, I was like, oh, I'm behind the curve. Girls are already committed. It added this unnecessary sense of pressure. And I was just learning the sport. And it was I was playing with a couple girls that one girl committed her freshman year. Another girl was she committed middle of her sophomore year, and it was it was crazy.
Yeah. And how did you end up at Coastal Carolina University, a
Yeah.
prestigious academic institution?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny. For the longest time, I wanted to be in Florida. So the first couple years was that push to kind of be in Florida for some reason. I don't know why. We played a couple tournaments in Florida, and I was like, this is so cool. I can play beach year round. I want to be on the beach. I really just wanted to be at the beach. So I always thought FGCU was really cool. And I also had this fascination with wanting to be at like a hockey school. So like my brothers play ice hockey, so that was kind of the driving factor for me. So the first school that I ever actually reached out to was Arizona State, like
In Florida and
in Arizona, because
yeah,
On
Arizona
the
State
beach.
had a hockey team.
it
So
did. It does.
I was
Sorry.
like, yeah, like a good hockey team, because my brother's team had played against them. So I was like, oh, okay, like yeah, I could go to Arizona State, like. And then my mom was like, Arizona State, like that's a little far. But yeah, that was kind of the weird thing that I was looking for. And then when I got kind of towards my beach knowledge grew a lot. And then I just kind of started to kind of shift a little bit my junior year. I think just naturally matured and was like, I don't know if I want to be like super far from home. I'm pretty close with my family. And I wanted to be at the beach. Like that was my whole thing. I want to be at the beach. And I was like, okay, Coastal's really close to home, like 3 hours. It's a competitive team, also kind of up and coming team. They hadn't really been around for that long.
Up and coming would be a really good term for the program at that time.
Yeah, definitely up and coming. But we did have one girl that was already committed there, Madison Allred. Shout out Mad Dog, love her. Um, So she was really the initial person that was like, oh, Coastal Carolina, like I've heard about them because they won the national championship, and that was like I thought that was cool. So
In baseball, just for anybody that didn't
baseball,
have not won a beach volleyball national championship yet.
not beach, not
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 yet.
just yet.
Not
Uh,
yet.
but that's kind of how I heard about them. And then Steve came to some Beach South camps, so I met him and worked with him a little bit, and really like location. Steve, the girls, like I had a little bit of a connection there already with a couple girls. That one girl was officially committed, and then another girl ended up committing, Emma Gonzalez. Woo, shout out Emma G, love you. Uh, so it just was like kind of all falling into the right place, and I that's where I wanted to be.
Uh, you mentioned it a couple times. You got some brothers that play some hockey. They've got unique recruiting stories too, right? Like Will's got one of the craziest recruiting stories of all time. Tell us a little bit about their experience in the hockey world, because I don't think Michael or I know a lot outside of the experiences you've told us.
Gosh, the hockey recruiting world is so completely like different to anything that I like. That's what I had to compare it to, and it was crazy. So my oldest brother Will, he left home when he was 15, turning 16. I think he was officially 16. To go to prep school. He got a big scholarship, and like that's what every coach that he had for junior hockey told him, that like if you want to play in college, like you have to go through prep school. Like that's the only way you get recruited. There's no real like college coaches that will travel down to the south and recruit guys. So you have to really think to make the prep school route. So he started kind of doing some showcases, and Vermont Academy reached out to him, and he got a good scholarship. He wasn't the most academically driven fella in the world, so my parents thought it would be good for him to go to a small private prep school that is only like 2,000 total people. So it was a really cool experience going and seeing that when I was younger. Being able to travel to Vermont was really cool. So he did that, and then he got drafted into the USHL, and then that ended up falling through. So then he went to the East American AHL. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. It's been so long now. Which is another tier of junior hockey. So this is the other way that you get recruited, is if you don't go the prep school route, then you play junior hockey, which is like higher than just lower hockey. I I don't know how to describe it. It's so strange, but you basically play in that, and a lot of guys kind of stay and stick around until they're about 21, and then that's when they are like freshmen in college. So my middle brother and I actually just graduated at the same time a year ago, and he's 25. So actually just turned 26. So it's funny because people would be like, "Oh, your brother just graduated, so you're twins." I'm like, "No, he was 21 when he was a freshman." So he did the similar route, just didn't do the prep school. He was a goalie, so he went more of the junior route. He played in the USPHL, which is different than the AHL. They all the tiers, and that's how he got recruited. He played at SUNY Cortland for 4 years, and my oldest brother played 4 years at Lake Superior State, and then he played a fifth year at Ohio State. And then from there, he's kind of been a free agent, so he's been here, there, and everywhere, literally, for the past 4 or 5 years. Recently coming out of Europe, so very cool experience for him. So we'll see, but he's just grinding his way through, trying to break it in like everybody. So
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so it's a crazy experience. I remember when Will was going through all of his up and down and San
yeah,
Jose to Vegas to
yeah,
Canada, all that
yeah,
stuff was one of your
everywhere.
seasons.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it probably made it kind of nice for when you eventually got to school and you were a freshman, I think. Well, I guess technically Urena and Shar had been there before you and Marty. Uh,
yeah. So when I came in, I was in that weird class that came in right after COVID.
mhm,
So like Marty had only been there for not even well, she was there for like a semester, and
yeah,
then the first real freshman class that Steve had like really recruited, that was their first semester, like was COVID. So like we really all came in like as freshmen.
yeah. And some of them, like Urena was 21, I think, when she showed up,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
Marty was 20 or 21 when you guys were playing together. So
Yeah.
probably wasn't weird to you because you were like, I remember all the other girls were like, they're so much older than us, and
Yep.
it's still that still happens, but you were probably prepped for it.
Yeah.
Um, you show up to Coastal and you start playing for CCU. Tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about that transition from like juniors beach volleyball to college beach volleyball.
Yeah, I think I'll give a lot of credit to my club director, Scott. He did a really good job of preparing us. And I also think I was extremely blessed with the group of girls that I trained with. We got a ton of exposure with just Scott was throwing everything at us, weight training and conditioning, and was like, "This is what you guys are gonna have." We actually had strict practice, so we could only miss 4 total practices in the whole entire season. And our season was from 2 weeks after high school indoor would finish up all through the summer. We officially would end in May, but it was pretty strict through there, but we were a really committed group, and I think that helped me kind of get ready for that. But nothing really compares to that first like few months as a freshman. You kind of just get like punched in the mouth a little bit with with literally everything. Especially, I think the biggest thing for me was I always felt like I was in shape. Like I did do the conditioning, I did the weight training with Scott, but it's like something different about college weightlifting and just practicing like that. Like yes, we would go out and play all the time after practice, before practice, but it was just a different level of intensity and mindset shift that I think is something that you can't necessarily prepare for. You just kind of mold through it as you continue to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about like the holistic experience. Obviously, you have your weightlifting and your volleyball, but like classes, new friendships, socializing. Also, you're doing it like in the midst of a COVID pandemic. Sarah
Yeah.
Riedell gets the record for worst COVID experience. She was, I think she was contact traced 3 times, once
Three
for each of
times.
her 3 roommates. And
Yeah.
then, did you get it once? Did you get COVID yourself?
So I got it my sophomore year when I moved in. It was literally the day after I moved in. They were making everyone get tested. I can't remember exactly, but I had to get tested. the first day, or the day after I moved in, and my mom had been sick, and she had been pretty sick, and we were like, like, I don't know, like, could be respiratory, we didn't know for sure. So then I had a little bit of congestion, but I was like, I'm fine, like, it's just a thing. And then I tested positive my sophomore year, so I got it on my fourth quarantine, so.
Yeah. I mean, two of them were like in season, right? Like I remember we flew you down to Florida State, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
were
the
contact
first,
traced and got out.
yeah, the first one was my roommate. She, at Coastal, the dorm rooms are like in the same room, like it wasn't all separate. So she was beside me, and I vividly remember we woke up for weights, and this was probably like, I think we were like a month in, so we were still pretty fresh. And she was like, "Guys, I can't smell anything." She was like, "I just went into the bathroom and tried to smell the alcohol, like the stuff you use to like clean your like that alcohol, not not the other kind."
Oh, good. Don't incriminate yourself.
I
5 years
Now the
promise.
stories come out.
No,
Oh.
I promise it was the other kind. And
Sure.
the rubbing alcohol, that's the word I was looking for.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Guys, I can't smell at all." And we were like, okay. Like, we're gonna try to go to weights, but like, we'll see what they say. So she ended up testing positive. And since it was so new and it was like the first month, she actually had to quarantine. We both had to quarantine for 14 days. And she actually had to be quarantined for 14 days by herself. Like, they put her in a separate, like, COVID unit that they had, like, these apartments that they had rented out for students to use if they get COVID. So she was in a room for like 14 days, and they would just feed her school food. Like, they would just set it outside her door. Yeah, it was really brutal. I felt really bad for her. But I was able to go home. They said that since like I was able to go home. Another time was literally just a friend. Like, we were all hanging out, and he was on the football team. He caught it. Boys are bad. Shouldn't have been hanging out with any boys. He caught it. He got contact traced. I got linked to it, and so I ended up having to quarantine for that because everyone else was. The regulations were if you were less than 5 feet for more than 15 minutes, that was the rule. So since I was sitting next to him, it was me. So, so then that was another quarantine, but that one was only a week. Yep, I know it. So that one was only a week, and then the last one, I don't
How
remember.
old was Emma or Elena? One of the two.
It was Emma.
It was Emma.
It was
Yeah, yeah.
Emma.
Oh, trust me, I'll never forget. I'll never forget this one. So not only did we fly Riedell down, so
Yeah,
because her quarantine ended the day of the
day
tournament or
before
something
the
like that,
tournament. Yeah.
day before the tournament, and we bussed down to Jacksonville. So we played at JU 2 days. It was during our spring break, so we played at JU for a day, and then we bussed over to Tallahassee to play the weekend. And so we dragged Riedell down. We got a flight for Riedell to the Tallahassee airport so that she could come join the team. I'll never forget it for a couple reasons. One of the main reasons is that she got off the airplane wearing a Florida State basketball t-shirt.
No, that is such a
And I
lie.
have never seen
That
Steve
is
Lowe
not true.
more angry than when she had that on.
No,
And she
no.
wore that shirt religiously. I mean, I swear, I know exactly what that gray Florida State with a maroon writing Florida State
Yeah.
basketball shirt looks like because you
Yes,
wore it so
I
regularly.
did. It was
Yeah.
my sleep shirt, and
Uh-huh.
it was my sleep shirt, and I did occasionally travel in it,
Mm.
but I did not fly in it. I can tell you, I promise I know exactly what I was wearing. I was wearing my black sweatshirt, and I know I was not wearing that. I did not travel.
It must have been
I
another
just
trip that
I
Steve
just
had to
slept
make
in
for
it,
you.
and then every time I tried to sneak downstairs to get ice cream, you guys just so happened to be downstairs just hanging out. And You would always catch me red-handed wearing my Florida State shirt.
I just remember the day when Steve went and when he's addressing the group as a whole, and he just goes, "For example, Riedell, if I ever see you wearing that Florida State basketball shirt again, I'm gonna lose it."
And I just never thought anything about it. I'm like, it's just a comfy shirt. I just like it was a shirt that I slept in. So yeah, that is
Yeah,
true. That is true.
no. But anyway, we dragged you down, but you made it through your freshman year. Highlights of your freshman year. I'll say the one that I remember the most is for sure UAB.
Mhm.
Sarah is the only person I've ever seen win a match by breaking another girl's hand with her thigh. So we were playing Central Arkansas, and you were in the threes with Kenny Too Smooth, right?
Was with Kenny Too Smooth. I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's in the threes, and all of a sudden I'm like, I think I'm with Urena and Shar on the ones, and I look
Yeah.
over, and like this match is in medical for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and the match ends, and we beat Central Arkansas, and we walk over, and Kendra goes, "You will not believe it. Sarah broke this girl's hand with her thigh." And I guess like the girls came through on like a swing or made a dive
Yeah.
or
Yes,
something.
I vividly remember it. So we were I was super amped up because this didn't have anything to do with it. This was just a core memory. But our strength intern had traveled with us, and he was going around giving everybody smelling salts. And so we were all like juiced up for this game. And so we were like, all right, let's go. It's game time. This didn't have anything to do with it, but I went up to like a ball got set kind of tight. And so I went up to like joust and poke the ball, and she had jumped under, but I guess when she came down, her hand swung and like hit my leg. And then next thing I know, we're like standing there, and she's like my hand is like broken, and we were like, what? And then we ended up in a medical, and then she's like, yeah, I can't play. So then they forfeited, and that was the easiest win I've ever gotten in my life. So
All that working
Yeah.
out paid off.
heck yeah, yeah, it did. It
Are
really did.
there any big moments from your freshman year that stick out to you?
Whew. Um, big moments. I think actually UAB, I think beating UAB my freshman year was super fun memory. And I think just freshman year was such a crazy time in general. Like freshman year is, but we were in such a unique situation with like tournament our first weekend getting canceled because we literally everybody couldn't go, and like just I think being a part of such a crazy freshman year, like it's so cool now just to see how like especially at Coastal, like see how by the time I got to my senior year, like even just seeing like a bunch of people sitting at a lunch table together, I'm like, that's so cool. That would have been nice to have as a freshman, you know. And we couldn't even sit next to each other. It was we couldn't sit next to each other, so it kind of forced. I think in a way it did force a little bit of the culture with us because we were forced to kind of only hang out with each other for a good bit. So I
Yeah.
think it was good, but also like we didn't really make any friends like outside of our team because we couldn't talk to people. Everybody kind of kept to themselves, and class sizes were super small, and everybody was wearing masks, so nobody really talked to each other at all. Classes were hybrid too, so like one day would be in person, the rest would be online. But like volleyball wise, definitely playing against UAB and beating UAB was a fun win because they were a really good team, and that was I think they were in the top 20 maybe, or they were like just teetering like to be in
Oh,
the top 20, or they were in the top 20 the year before. So UAB is always a really good competitive team, and I think like just as a little baby freshman, and I was playing Dylan Odie, who's the assistant now at UAB. I do remember I was playing against her and another girl that was a little bit older than me, so I think that was always fun just to play and beat people that are older than you. It was always fun.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you had an amazing first year for sure. I'll never forget our season ended. That part sucked, but we played out the UNF match at
Yeah.
conference, and Sarah's in the threes and wins this big third set over UNF, and both teams are on the sidelines because it's it was the semifinals, right? So it's like the winner
Yeah.
went to play Stetson, and we were out, but it was really really fun to see her do that as a freshman and be like, dang, this girl's gonna be pretty dang good.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that was such a fun experience, especially with Kendra too, who like I hadn't played with Kenny really up until like the last two or three tournaments. Like we hadn't been together at all. And then to be able to like be in the kind of it was strange. Like she had never really played beach. This was her first season, so I was in like a leading role in a way, like as a freshman, but she was also leading me in like the mental battle with volleyball and like being able to play out that last game with her was super fun and like Stetson's always I think a cool place to play and it was like sunsetting and it was a cool definitely a really cool experience. And then my last game in the A Sun, so or our last game in the A Sun
as a player, for
as
sure.
a player, yes.
We can skip over sophomore year because that year just had everything go wrong that possibly could. I think you ran his calf, Lucy's shoulder, Marty's hip. But it
Mhm.
was kind of it was the season that got you up to the ones.
Mm.
And you wouldn't relinquish that spot for the rest of your career. So you're in the ones going into your junior year. You help the team to their first ever ranked wins. You go to the conference championship for the Sun Belt in its first year. Like, talk me through a little bit about the growth from your freshman year to your junior year.
Ooh. Yeah, I think for me, I was always just, I think my mentals were what like would hold me back a lot of the time. But I do think I had so much growth from playing in the threes to then playing in the twos to then not ever really expecting to play in the ones, to be honest. Like that was always like a big lofty goal for myself. And like I did think that I had the skill level, but I didn't think I was there fully as like my sophomore year. And I think that's where I kind of my sophomore year I really battled with that, where I just didn't like trust myself too much. And then my junior year, I really felt like okay, like it was more of the trust in myself. Like I finally was like, all right, like you've earned this. You've been here. You've showed like you and Steve did a really good job of like talking me out of it too a lot of the time. And I talked to brother, mom, dad, like everybody, like collectively putting their faith into me helped a lot with that. And then my junior year, I just felt like I had put in a lot of work physically. That was always something that I felt super good about was that if I can just train, like I would go home in the summer and I would get my group together that I had with club, and we would just train and I would go out, play for hours, like know what I needed to work on and work on that and just had a drive to want to be successful, want to be competitive, like want to win. And so when I heard we were moving to the Sun Belt and like we like we're finally kind of getting our conference that we were going to be in and stay in, it was like, all right, guys, like we can do this. Like this is a conference that like feels super winnable for us. I think sophomore year was super tough because we had three very good teams in our conference, three like high ranked teams. Um, and we were struggling with injury and everything. So I think junior year just felt like such a bounce back, which was which was awesome. And then it just fed into senior year.
You talked a little bit about your mental capability and like how
Mhm.
that was holding you back, and we definitely got a facial reaction out of Colin, so there must have been a coach along the way that had told you that was possibly something that was going to hold you back.
Yep.
But what was the process like to one, identify it, two, accept it, and then three, work through it? Like what did that look like for you, or did you just kind of just keep moving along and letting it fix itself?
Yeah, I think for me it was always like I was always very self-aware of it. Like I always knew it was a thing and I always knew that whether it was kind of sometimes doubting a skill or sometimes getting super frustrated about like consistency or losing a game or something like that. I think my mindset started to shift a lot with the losing piece, especially after my sophomore year when I made that switch to ones. I was playing really good teams and was realizing, okay, like you're gonna lose some games. So that piece, I think I grew a lot from. It was always more of the like consistency piece and like making errors and stuff that would always kind of be the thing that held me back a lot. But I think what really helped was that the partner that I was playing with her for a while. And we kind of started to find a way to help each other with whatever it was we were struggling with. And she was very good about, like, hey, you need to talk to me, like making me not get super internal with myself. I think she helped keep me in check a lot of the time. I think you would agree, Colin. She was very good about keeping me in check. And I just felt too what always was my security blanket was that I was feeling like physically ready. So like whether that would be like really pushing myself in the weight room or like sometimes I would have not very good practices, but like those days that I would come in with like good energy and stuff, I feel like where I challenged myself on those days were like getting myself out of that funk if I was in it. Like that's where I always felt like I struggled was if I was in that funk. Like sometimes that practice was probably the hardest part for me, really.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, I think that was one of the coolest things to ever see, and obviously it didn't. I'm not sure you guys always felt it, but like you and Marty were so good at so Martine Crackholm, obviously your partner, like you guys lived together for
Mhm.
2 out of the 4 years,
Mhm. My
and
junior.
like being able to separate. You guys weren't very nice to each other sometimes on the ball court.
Love you, Marty, if you're listening.
there, there were some days when it was like, am I coaching Angel and Bella Ferrari out here? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on with you two? But then your ability to like separate it off the court was really, really special and really cool to see. And I'll never forget because there's senior year, right? I kind of jumped to it a little bit, but like senior year, there was a lot of pressure, right? There was like, we've been here, we've done this, we've got the squad coming back, like
Yeah.
all these things felt like it was kind of ready to, it was time to go our way, right? And then,
Right.
um, and I remember Bloms, who had, it was in her first year with the crew, and she said something about like, gosh, Sarah's just gets into such a funk. And Steve and I both kind of looked at each other and we were like, it's really not that bad. We've seen it so much worse, but
Yeah.
you were making continuous steps, and awareness was never the problem.
Yeah.
And you definitely got away with a lot because you talked about training. Like
Yeah.
she was the best athlete on campus.
I believe it.
Oh,
So
thank you.
at the at the university, right, we would do all these different tests, and for the last 3 years of her career, Sarah had the best differential in numbers, right? So she jumped the highest,
Hmm.
not literally touched, but like because there were high jumpers that obviously like put their stuff up there, but
Yeah.
whatever. She had the biggest vertical of anybody and this broad jump and max squatted the most of any female athlete on campus. So, like you physically, you made all the adjustments to get through it.
Yeah.
And jumping into your senior year, right? You and Marty are still playing together. We got the old squad going out there. Like, what is that year as a player? Like, you're starting to figure out what you want to do with your life. How does that year lead you into what you're doing now?
Ooh. Yeah. I think it was besides this year was probably one of the craziest years ever because it was always that thing that you like push off like what are you going to do with your life, like for me I was like I'll wait till I get there, wait till I get there, push it off, and then it's like oh snap, it's here. You graduate in a month, what are you doing with your life? So my original thought was to go strength and conditioning, coaching, because I knew like I always had that desire to work with people and just be in some sort of like role like that. And I was obviously very big into the strength and conditioning piece, and I loved our strength coach and what he was doing. So I thought, like, maybe this is the world that I want to be in. I'm an exercise science major. Like, of course, this is the perfect path for me. So I did an internship my senior year through the university. Part of our major was we had to do an internship. So I had to do a 420 credit hour internship with strength and conditioning, and kind of found that that's not really like where I wanted to take my life. It just like wasn't feeling like totally right for me. So yeah, I was really just going back and forth. I was like, okay, like I think I want to do a GA. Like I think like coaching volleyball, like I started to kind of find myself a lot my senior year with like wanting to kind of take some of the younger ones under my wing, like and and teach them sometimes in practice or like whatever it was, like giving guidance, like and I wasn't ever actually like trying to do it. I would just find myself doing it sometimes. So I was like, maybe I have like a knack for it, or like I always did summer coaching at my beach club. So I was like, I never had anything against it. So I was like, okay, I think like a GA would be cool. And like I was never the most academically driven student. So GA sounded kind of good in the coaching way, but not so good in the getting a master's way. It was more of just checking the box because everyone was going to go to grad school and get a master's. That's kind of what they feed you, especially in my major. So I was like, if I can find a spot where I don't have to do school, I think I would rather do that. So that's how I ended up at Austin Peay. But my senior year was just amazing. Like, I loved every minute of it. Like, I think our team had such a crazy good bond that, like, Michael and I talk about it all the time. Like, we talk about culture and what kind of culture we want to build. And I'm like, man, like, I loved the culture that we had. Like, especially with our core group, like, we were so close. And it was like, how did we do that? Like, there was like, how did it just organically happen? I just don't. And it's like, how do I come up with ways to make us like best friend, everybody best friends? It's like, it's not, it's like a super cool thing that I think was like really unique.
I would agree. I would argue that your half your season getting canceled, half your team getting injured.
Yeah.
There was a lot of connectivity forged through challenge and adversity. Um, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and there were 11 of you. Just a quick reminder that we graduated the better part of a roster.
Our
So
core
like,
group, which was the entire roster.
I remember being
Clever
like,
guys.
oh, just 8 starters to replace. That should be easy. So like
Yeah.
they're not to discount it because obviously it was an amazing group. I mean it was one of the most special teams I've ever gotten to be a part of, and but I do think there were some solid factors in place, such as 2 classes worth of people getting united into one,
Yeah. And I
and going through
think
the trials and tribulations of the early parts of your career.
Yeah, and I think just never really having anybody graduating, like that kind of feeds into like us being that core group was that like nobody was ever leaving, and then we always kind of had like a balance in each part, and we were never afraid to tell each other how it was, or at the
Yeah.
end of the day we could always either compete, like we could always compete at practice, but we never let it like fade off into like hanging out with each other. Like I think we were really good about just being connected and having a love for each other. And then when the goal of us being able to win a championship kind of started to flourish, like junior, senior year, like I think that also just created that really heavy common goal that we were like, all right, like let's really compete, but we're still gonna be like good friends off the court. So
I think another unique perspective you got that senior year that you and a couple others have the perspective on is actually Colin was there your freshman, sophomore year, ended up taking a year leave, and then came back for your senior year. So you guys kind of got the band back together with Colin coming back. But what was the process like of knowing that Colin was coming back? He got a great mind, great recruiting strategy, good strategies. Like, what was that like getting him back on your guys' sideline?
Don't ask Sarah that. She didn't want me back.
Colin, Not true. No, I think it was super fun. Like obviously we were all like when Steve told us that he was getting offered this job, we were all like, "Oh, okay." But like obviously a lot of us were leaving and so we were like, "Steve, do it. Just do it. Like we love you, but we know that rebuilds are hard." And he was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to take the job, but I'm going to bring in a third coach." And so we were like, "Ooh, who could it be? Who could it be?" And then he said Colin was coming back, and we were like, "Okay." So we know like the familiarity, which was like awesome because I think it just added a balance that we knew we were going to be missing with Steve kind of being in and out a lot. And Steve was pretty big on like, "Oh, I want to still be around," but I feel like Colin, you did a really good job of just kind of taking the reins because we needed it because things were starting to kind of just like get funky with Steve kind of being in and out, and then Blom's was also new, so it was like we love Blom's, so it was just like an extra benefit to have. Like now being on a staff of just two, like I can't imagine having a third coach and now being on the other side having an extra set of hands is like such a blessing. So I thought it was really cool. We
No,
loved it.
oh, grad. Thanks, Riedell. I'll pretend. I'll pretend. No, I'm kidding. I know it was. I know it was a challenge, right? I know it was always a weird part when Steve decided to step aside. That's your guy, man. I mean, shoot, he's my guy too.
Yeah.
And so watching him kind of be in that half in half. I'm glad that he got to be a part of it because I
Yeah.
do think that was really cool, and he's still part of the family. We tell him he showed up to a couple matches this year, and so he was still in the circle. That's
Yeah.
how it works when you come back. You get to still be in the circle, and we like having you around. So, you're coaching. You've got year one under your belt, and what would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned from year one as a Division 1 beach volleyball coach?
Ooh, your biggest lesson. Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny because a lot of people have been asking me that, especially like I just went back home and had and worked at clinic, and I would keep finding myself saying like I'm just learning how to be an adult. Like I just think I'm nonstop like learning. Like and it's so amazing. Like I think we this season we're in such a just unique situation. Like it was actually like sometimes unfathomable at some points. We were like, dang, like we were in such a crazy, unique situation, and it was like just always learning. Like Michael can attest. There were a lot of things about life that I just like things that about life that college and doesn't really teach you, and things that it just you have to learn organically. And I think just like learning a whole new like obviously volleyball is something I've known for a big part of my life, but now like breaking it down to every single itty bitty piece of either a skill or like a game plan or and things like that. I think it's just been an crazy like super cool opportunity to like be growing as an adult, but also like learning things about volleyball and all that at the same time that I never really either thought about or like, oh, that goes into this piece of like playing because obviously as a player there's it almost makes you feel like you're so oblivious as a player to like what's actually going on because you like go to a tournament and you're like, ugh, I hated this meal tonight, and it's like this wasn't good, like things like that, and you're like, somebody actually put like a significant amount of time into trying to figure this stuff out. And
Gosh,
it's
Colin
not.
keeps bugging me to topspin serve. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Oh, look at
Yeah.
that. Final match of her career. She decides to rip her topspin serve, and look at what happens.
Yep. Yep. And then you may have some regrets as a player now that you realize that your coach was right. Your coach was
Mm,
trying to do something right for you.
mm.
But yeah, I think that's the coolest part is just seeing like how much passion you can have, and like the girls like just sometimes don't even realize like how much passion is behind literally every piece of everything we're doing, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but
You're
like
also
it.
with a chronic overthinker in your office, so that also helps breaking down details that really don't matter. Um,
What are you most looking forward to going into year two and beyond of your career? What do you are most excited for this year?
I think I'm just excited to make it feel like it flows more. Like, I think in
Mm-hmm.
my head, I was trying to chop it up so much. Like, this goes like this, and this goes like this, and oh, this is how this works. Like, instead of having to always feel like I have to backtrack, like, and try and, like, I feel like I've done a lot of the foundational learning, and now it's more of just implementation a little bit quicker, maybe is a good way of putting it. But like now I know kind of how to navigate doing itineraries. I did them for a while and things like that. Like things that would normally this year have taken me like a little while to do, like learning how to use Excel. Um, that is now not going to take me 3 hours. That will just take me 30 minutes, hopefully. So things like that. And I think just like I feel so like much more educated in like everything, like in life, how things work. Like I think it's just been such a good like learning year for me as a whole, and I think it's been super. I think I'm excited for next year to just not constantly feel like I'm trying to like learn too much. Like I obviously you always want to learn, but like when you're still kind of in a new place, you're with new people, you're just finishing up your college career that you're sad is over, and like there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on that like I'm now like feeling more comfortable with closing a chapter, and it's like okay, like your college career is over, let it go, like it's over, you're about to be 24, like obviously I want to keep playing, but I think that feeling of just like really diving into my life fully.
yeah, and you're also going to be kind of taking over some of the training plans and doing a lot more hands-on with that. So like break down like what is a typical practice, or what do you want the flow of a practice to be, or what type of things are you looking to get out of training?
Whew, yeah, I think I'm still really trying to figure out like what I find from each way that I want to like I think I want to take a lot of time this summer to break down how I want like the flow essentially. Like I really do want to do some connecting with our strength coach and kind of base a lot of our training off of what's happening in the weight room because I do know that puts a lot of extra fatigue and things on the body. So if we do a heavier leg day, like maybe let's not do too much jumping in the sand. Let's focus more on the setting. Let's focus more on the serve receive, things like that. And I'm kind of excited to start planning more like that. And I love defense, so I think just trying to get a little bit more creative this year. That's what I want to really take a big hold of. I think a lot of the cool things that I've been seeing with blocking now, like especially I've been watching a lot of women's AVP and FIVB, seeing a lot of the different blocking techniques, a lot of dive-ins, a lot of jab steps, things like that. I think is super cool and adds that layer of deception. And I think deception is so fun, and when it works, it really works, and it's really cool. It's literally like an art form. So I definitely want to step into that more. And I think setting is super underrated. Like I don't think I've ever really like talked about that too much, but I did bring this up at the clinic. Just I think setting is such an underrated skill, and I think it's such an underrated like skill that's not necessarily like harped on enough. I think like it's funny, my club coach, he always used to say like you never want to play with a bad setter, like nobody wants to play with a bad setter, and it was almost like a way of like telling us okay, we need to be really consistent with getting square, we need to be really consistent with our hand setting, things like that. And that really stuck with me as a junior, and then in college, like, it made me really intentional about, like, where I'm setting. And so I think, like, I want to maybe harp on that just a little bit more because I think it really changes the flow of a game. Because if you can set consistently in a zone or you can set consistent heights, I think it really can be effective.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then I do have
Good
one
interview.
more ask of you. Tell us the
Okay.
story of your first yellow card.
My first yellow card as a coach. I may have had one as a college player, but we'll get past that.
Let me set the scene for you. So, our first ever home tournament as GovFam, and all 5 of our committed 2025 athletes are on for their official visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were playing UCA.
Yes, we were playing
Yeah.
UCI.
I'm sitting over on the 1s court. She's over on the 3s court. I look over. She's standing up, arms in the air. I was like, all right, she's handling something. And then I look back over, and the ref has this yellow card up, and she's walking around the sideline. I'm like, okay, let's calm down now.
Nah,
Uh,
Riedell, don't worry about it.
yeah, it happens. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Yeah. So I'm competitive, period. I like to win, but I sometimes have a hard time with some calls.
And that's
Especially
why
if I don't.
Marty was our captain. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. So in my partnership, I was not the one to handle our ref conversations because sometimes I wasn't the nicest with my. I was always trying to be respectful, but at the end of the day, sometimes. My dad is also very competitive, so he's like, a ref's a ref, whatever. Anyway, so it was a double call, I think, or no, it was a replay call because a ball had rolled onto the court and it was literally in the middle of the court while the play is happening, and she doesn't call replay. And so I just was feeling like I was just curious, and
Just
so I
fighting
was
for the
just
student athlete, right?
I was absolutely fighting for my team and for a point, and I wanted them to stand up for themselves and ask the questions, the necessary questions. And for me, I partially didn't know what the rules were with what I could say. I guess the rules are I'm not allowed to talk to the refs.
Yeah,
But
that is the rule. That is the rule.
And I wasn't totally aware of that rule. So I was back in my player mode and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna walk onto the court. That was part of the problem. I did walk onto the
Oh
court.
yeah, that's an extra no. It's a special no.
And I didn't know this. Mike and I did not do the debrief of
No.
if something bad happens, just don't maybe walk onto the court.
Yeah, that's on me.
No, I think Michael thought to himself, well, Sarah's played 4 years of college beach volleyball. If she didn't see her coaches do it, she should know not to do it.
Yeah, that's true. No, Steve did have some conversations. He did have some conversations from the side, but I think I took it a little too far. And so I did quiet down after that.
That's okay. Sarah, sometimes you get that yellow card, right? It shows that group that you're fighting for them.
Absolutely. And I think it genuinely fired them up and they ended up winning and they were down and they did come back and I think they were very pleased with it. And that was part of my ploy too. I didn't say this, but like I just wanted to give them a little bit of fight. And so it did fire them up a little bit and I knew it would. So that's kind of why I kept jabbing and they thought it was funny. So I leaned into it a little bit.
It was a good timed yellow card. That's why we can joke about it now. But it also coined her new nickname of Sriracha.
Yes.
Spicy. Yeah. Yes. It's okay. Good timed yellow card. I'm proud of you. Proud of you across the board, and so excited to see what you are going to do in this profession. And you can have my job one day, I'm sure. But in the meantime, keep learning, keep crushing it, and I'm so happy to see you be
Yeah.
successful.
We do have one final question we always ask, and that's what do you want to see next out of beach volleyball, NCAA beach volleyball?
What do I want to see? I think I just want to see like more teams, more schools get teams. Like I just want to see like it keep growing. Like it had I want to see it continue to have the trajectory it had when I was starting in it. Like 2016 national championship, like watching, I can't remember what year it was, but like just seeing how like LSU fans like at the national championship, like seeing things like that, I kind of want that to be the standard. Like I want to see it get to the point where like people aren't asking, oh, you play beach volleyball, is it club, like was it a club team? And it's like you're not hesitant to be like I played like Division 1 volleyball, like I played Division 1 beach volleyball, like, and it has like a little bit something behind it because everyone automatically associates it with like club. And I think that's where I just wanted to see it get a little bit more like a little bit more respect behind the name. I think we deserve it. I think we put so much time and energy into it, just as much as everybody else. And yeah, that's definitely what I want to see.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. That's a good moment, Sarah. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right. See you in the morning. Thank you, guys.